This is TK Coleman, and you're listening to Small Business Edge by Ceterus. This is the podcast where we deconstruct small business entrepreneurship. Through conversations with franchisees, passion-based business owners, and other experts, we learn what it takes to succeed.
For those of you who might be, tuning in for the first time, you're new to the podcast, Levi reached out to me last year. He said, look, I work with a lot of people that go into franchising. They transition out of traditional corporate careers. They go into franchising, and there's a lot of stuff they don't know that they have to think about and learn about. And I help them kind of navigate those waters. And I love to create a podcast that meets that need, a podcast where we talk to people who go through that transition to see what we can learn from them. So we did our first season, and now we just finished the second season that's going to be starting up here. Levi, I'm curious, man, what was the biggest lesson you took away from that first season, and what made you want to run it back?
Sure. Yeah. The lesson was I personally, and Ceterus, the company who's kind of behind the podcast, we love the small business entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is so buzzwordy and everything else. I think we talked about this last time. And that's great. We love all types of entrepreneurs. There's amazing entrepreneurs across the spectrum of entrepreneurship. We call it the spectrum of entrepreneurship. On the one end, you have your freelancer, your solopreneur, the kind of person who's in this gig economy or whatever. They're living life on their own terms. They don't have a boss. They're an independent worker of some sort, independent service provider, and they're doing awesome things. And those people are amazing. And there's a lot of focus on them. The 4-hour work week, these books and things, there's a lot of ways telling you how to be that, how to succeed in that, and whatever else. And that's wonderful. On the far other end, you have your startup entrepreneurs that want to put a dent in the universe, change everything, raise venture capital, et cetera, et cetera. And again, those are awesome entrepreneurs. We love those guys. With that said, there's a ton of resources that those people can go to. The majority of entrepreneurs, though, are in the middle. They're the small business entrepreneur, oftentimes a franchisee, a franchise entrepreneur. And these are people that are amazing. They're huge parts of our community. All of us know many of these people. They're, in general, just really, really cool people living the American dream. And there's very few resources telling people how to be that. Mm-hmm. Again, some of them, so you can ask, but to truly get insight from those who have succeeded at a massive scale and are pushing towards the end of their journey, those who are at the beginning, and you can hear from somebody who's a year in or 2 years into something you're looking at doing. Last year going into it, we thought that would be really cool to see how that went. And again, finding the best podcast host on the planet in TK Coleman, we were able to put just a great season together. Honestly, I loved listening to every episode. I'm a little bit biased, but I loved it. They were great. There's really good information that came out, and it did achieve a lot of those things we wanted. So looking at this next season, we wanted more of the same, more stories, more insights. And I think you came at it from an approach of, we kind of tried to get a little more of a diversity in the backgrounds and the stage of business for the type of people that we targeted. Again, within these small business entrepreneurs, this middle of the entrepreneurship spectrum, there's kind of two main types of entrepreneurs. There's the passion-based entrepreneur, someone who loves something so much, they want to work in it all day, every day.
Yeah.
And that is an awesome entrepreneur. And they want to build a business around that. And that's so often a gym owner or a, yoga studio owner, someone who really loves great coffee or great food or craftsmanship, those types of entrepreneurs, but not just to freelance in it, but to actually build a business in that and hire some staff and develop something in the community for that. So that's the passion-based entrepreneur. And we talked to several of those throughout this second season, and they've got just incredible stories. And I love it. You can feel it coming through them that leaving their other job, whatever that was, and moving into this is just something that they get a kick out of every single day due to the actual work they're doing. And then the other side are people that want to build a business, impact the community, scale it a little bit, grow it to multiple units. They probably love what they're doing. I think it's hard to succeed not. but they're not in it to be the craftsman or the craftswoman themselves. They're in it to kind of build a business and take it to a slightly larger level. And those are really exciting as well. So bottom line, I thought, I've listened to a handful of the interviews. They're kind of raw still for this season, but it's been great to just get those stories, get those insights, and have you take each of those, different entrepreneurs you talk to and really pull some great insights, great information about their personality, the decisions they made, why they do what they do. Just fascinating, I thought.
Yeah, one of the things I love about all of the guests we went with is that we didn't focus on celebrity. We didn't pick our guests based on, hey, who can make you feel the most impressed with who they are. We chose it based on a goal to really educate our listeners, and we wanted to pick people who have stories that are accessible to the average person, accessible to the person that's on the fence and says, hey, maybe this entrepreneurial thing is for me, but, I don't know if I can be, the next Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know if I'm the kind of person that would make it to an episode of Shark Tank. And so we went away from that kind of conventional path of saying, hey, let's aim after ratings. Let's pick the biggest names in the industry. And even if you have no chance of ever being like them, we're going to get them on because we want to make you go, wow, I'm so impressed with who this person is and I'll never be like them. We want to pick people that are great educators, people that love training their employees, people that love philosophizing about what they do, and people that don't see themselves as these extra special superstars, but they see themselves as ordinary human beings who found the right combination between something that they felt passionate about or believed in and something that they thought they could pull off. And I love about our guests that they're very honest about their struggles, their failures, and they're even honest about those aspects of their daily work that aren't captured by the stereotypes of, I'm passionate about this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, there's some just absolutely great stuff in there. And again, the daily life, just some real reality that you push into and bring out. And I think it's amazing to say, like, we see the 1% that sometimes looks glamorous or awful, depending on what kind of media and buzz you're getting. But like, what's the normal daily work? And in many cases, it sounds like the daily grind. And there's something you can hear a little spark that they love it.
Yeah.
But it's not all happy and glorious. It's a grind, but there's something behind it that powers and pushes these people to keep wanting to do it and want to do it more and to be happy with the decision they made to go into it. But it never feels easy. At least none of the ones I've listened to, it sounds like it's rolling and smooth and easy.
Let's do a quick little teaser of the first episode that we're going to launch with. And that is with Jamie Weeks. Jamie Weeks was the 2017 Orange Theory Fitness Franchisee of the Year. He's also the CEO of Honors Holdings. And Levi reached out to me about interviewing Jamie. And when he connected us, I was really excited to talk with him. Tell the audience a little bit about your background with Jamie, why you were pumped up about starting off the season with him, and what they can expect to learn from that first episode.
We met Jamie a couple years ago. He's a franchise entrepreneur, comes from the world of finance, had done really well in the world of finance and had a good, had a good thing going, very good professional. His story will do way more justice. I don't want to go too much into the transition, but long story short, he got into the world of franchising again, because he had a personal experience with it. And I think that theme comes through so many times in this last season is that people went into this business after either working out somewhere or experiencing a business similar to the one they ended up starting for a variety of reasons and using that as the way to jump off into it. But anyway, he got into that, and Jamie's the guy, again, he's the guy that wanted to build something and put his skills to the test and go from being a finance person a very smart businessman, but to building and scaling a team and building a culture, a culture of a team that grew rapidly, which is really hard to do. And it's not something that his previous, professional experience had exposed him too much, except for being part of larger organizations. But to truly build that from the ground up and do it just exceptionally well, truly world class, the way that Jamie's built his team. And, it was really great. So anyway, we came into him with, he had a handful of franchise locations. And in the last probably year and a half or so, he's just ramped and grown really, really fast. In his episode, he talks about, getting some other investors involved. And what most of us would think is, wow, that's the windshed moment. You made it. You're done. Go sit on the beach. And, his story gets into the fact that, no, that just means work got harder, pressure went up. It's great. He's more excited than ever because he can scale that team and build that culture and drive things further. But it's kind of it wasn't like the exit that I think it would have looked like on the surface. So again, that was a really, really great interview, great deep dive with Jamie, who's just a good friend at this point, honestly, and a great entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's absolutely phenomenal. Levi, last question. As people are listening to this second season, how do you want them to listen, or how do you want them to pay attention, or what do you want them to take away from this season?
So yeah, the couple things that I would just key in on that I found really, really interesting. One is, again, as you look at this spectrum of entrepreneurship, and are you going for freedom? Are you going for impact? What's your life going to look like? And I think those who are looking for the 4-hour work week are probably wrong. And I think this season reinforced that. I would put it more as like the 64-hour work week, which still has a nice ring to it.
But they got the 4 in there.
Do that exactly. So a lot of the points that were made was that it's going to take, especially up front, not forever, most likely, if you do things right, but up front, it's probably more time than you plan. So plan a lot, and it'll still be a little bit more. So many of the stories were like, if I had known, I'm not sure. Today, I'm glad I did it. But if I had really known what those first few years are going to be like, I'm not sure. The second interesting point that I kind of took away, and it's a little change from maybe a decade ago or so when I started, really, it's probably been longer than that now. I'm getting old. But when I started getting into entrepreneurship, where entrepreneurs were probably some of the most unhealthy people on earth. You give up exercise, you eat horrible, you burn the candle on both ends, you don't sleep right because you're building something. And the theme that came across so many times in this season was, what's your daily routine? I think almost everybody, working out is a huge part of the routine. Their health and their fitness is a huge thing. And I think that is so healthy. That's like evolution of entrepreneurship, is don't destroy your body in the process. So I personally took some notes from that, because that's the thing you always put on the back burner. So really loved kind of hearing that. It sounded like coffee is a big part of most of these people's life as well, which I certainly, agree with that. So not sure how that fits into the health part, but time will probably tell. Anyway, it was a really great season. I would hope people would listen. I think entrepreneurship being kind of as sexy and trendy and popular as it is today, it's compelling, and it's got a little brand of its own that makes people feel like they want to participate. I think you get a really real sense of what is it really like to take that jump. Not in terms of the financial risk. I think everyone kind of understands that, but in terms of the lifestyle risk and what it's going to be like, what your emotions are going to be like, what your, just stress level is going to be like to kick off and launch a business. And I think these people really clue the listener into that. So if you're interested in entrepreneurship, I would say listen for that and be sure, is that itch the brand of entrepreneurship that's just attracting me, or is that an internal itch that I have to scratch? And now I know some of the challenges I'll face, but I have to do it. Or is it, that's interesting, I respect those guys, that's not for me? And again, both of those answers are perfectly great. For those who are already building a business, I think you can glean a ton from this series, especially from those who are a step beyond where you are today. If you've just started and you're listening to the story of someone who's been open 2 or 3 years, you can learn so much and maybe short circuit some lessons that would come the painful way, if you can kind of gain it from some of these interviews that we do. When you listen to the Jamie Weeks, if you're considering growing to a large scale and selling or getting investors to come on board, there's so many lessons you can learn from the interview with Jamie that we just talked about. So I would say if you're not an entrepreneur, but you're interested, listen to find out what it's really like. I think you get a good view of that. If you are an entrepreneur, tune in, check out what those who have kind of come before you, very recently before you, just a few steps ahead, a few years ahead, where they are, what they've done, what lessons they learned, and take what you will from it.
And it really is a great season. Lots of fantastic stories and lots of very wonderful insights. To tune in, check us out at ceterus.com/podcast. Small Business Edge Season 2.
All right, man. Thank you, TK.
For added insights and a full collection of episodes from Small Business Edge, visit ceterus.com/podcast.